Hello everyone and welcome back to the Ryan Retro channel. Today I need to bring you a video quickly. Time is of the essence because this Mangmi Pocket Max is only on pre-order sale for 2 more days. I only just received it last night, but it's basically a big stretched out Retroid Pocket 5. So I think I'm quite qualified to talk about the performance and how it's going to run. So let's look into it and see what is the Mangmi Pocket Max. Well, it has the same processor as the Retroid Pocket 5 and the Retroid Pocket Flip 2, so it's basically just a really stretched out version of the Retroid Pocket 5. The closest competitor to the Mangmi Pocket Max would be the Odin 2 Portal. The Portal is a device loved by almost everybody unanimously, except for me. I've never really got along with this device. I know so many people love it, and it is just a fantastic device, that is for sure, but it's never been one for me. The Mangmi Pocket Max has less power than the Odin 2 Portal, but is better in many other ways. The first and most obvious way this is better, and I want to address this first in the video, are these sticks. These are by far the best sticks I've used on any handheld ever. They are true full-size sticks. I mean, look how girthy they are. This is something that's not present on any other handheld that I know of. The Portal has good size sticks, but they're so weedy. And even the Odin 3 that AYN made a big song and dance about how it has full-size sticks, still has these thin, weedy stick caps. And while they do have a fantastic range of motion, this to me is not a full-size stick. The Mangmi Pocket Max has a true full-size stick in here. When you look at a real controller like a PlayStation controller here, it has that big, thick, girthy stick that gives so much better control and just feels so much better. The GameSir G8 Plus here as well also has that nice big full-size stick. And to compare this to the Odin 3 for a second, while the actual sticks themselves might be somewhat of a similar size underneath, there's just no comparison between these caps. This is a real full-size experience. This is not. This is the one you'll find on pretty much every Android handheld. They're all pretty much interchangeable. But this is what you'll find on the Mangmi Pocket Max. And it just feels so good to use. It's, to me, incomparable to any other Android handheld. This is by far the most comfortable handheld I've ever used. Immediately upon my first impression and over using it for the past day, this is easily the most comfortable handheld I've ever felt. And that is because of the fantastic sticks. That's because of the fantastic triggers that have really smooth motion. It has silent bumper buttons, which I love, and most devices don't have. It has a great D-pad, which feels really nice. The face buttons also feel nice, and they're quiet. This is random and probably quite pointless to most people, but it also has the best SD card tray door of any handheld I've used. So when held in this position, using the left analog stick and the face buttons and the triggers, it's by far the best handheld experience I've had in terms of comfort. But it's not all good, so let's get on to the things that I don't like about it. First of all, these 4 buttons at the bottom I think are not very good. Start and select are down here, and that is just such an awkward place to have start and select. When I'm in a game and I need to press the start button, it means I need to move my thumb from here down to here. And there's pretty much no way to comfortably do that rather than actually just take my thumb completely off and move it down like this. Or to be more comfortable, I usually end up shifting my whole grip down like this. That is just so uncomfortable. I wish the start and select buttons were here, like they are on most handheld consoles and controllers. The back and home buttons are also down here, which isn't as big of a deal because you usually don't need to press them as much. I'm not sure if there's a problem with this back button on mine, but it makes almost no perceivable click whatsoever. The home button clicks pretty nicely and feels good. The back button just is so mushy, I'm not even sure that I even pressed it. I cannot tell if that's by design or if mine's a little bit broken. It doesn't feel broken, it just has almost no feeling, which is a bit weird. On the top of the device, we have the power button and volume buttons like you would usually expect. They feel fine. They feel honestly quite cheap, but it is meant to be a budget device. And on the back, you have the worst buttons of all, these 2 programmable back buttons that you can make be anything you want, really. We've seen this on lots of handhelds at this point, but these just feel terrible. I really am not impressed with these at all. I think they've tried to make them really flush to the body, That was one complaint I heard with people say with the Retroid Pocket 6 here, is that they do protrude quite a bit and can be a little bit uncomfortable. For me, that's been fine, but it seems here Mangmi have been really conservative and they've tried to make them so flush and keep the design so comfortable that it's actually quite uncomfortable to press. Similar to the back button on the front of the device, it's kind of hard to even know you even pressed it at times, and they're just not good buttons. For me personally, I don't actually ever use back buttons really, so I'm fine with this, but definitely feels pretty cheap. So we can't finish talking about the buttons without going on to one of the main features advertised about this device, which is that we can actually change these buttons out. Now you may be able to see that there's a little diamond shape around the face buttons here and around the D-pad. That's because we can actually just grab these, pull them out and replace them. This is also one of the benefits of pre-ordering within the next 2 days. You will get this free set of button replacements. So in here we have a second D-pad and face buttons. Replacing them is pretty simple. There's a little notch here on the side of the X button and another one on the side of the B button. So you just need to kind of grab those with your nails and then the whole thing will just slide out. Underneath there's a pretty strong magnet so that when you put one back in, you can kind of just let go of it and it will pull itself back in nice and easy. It's the same thing with the D-pad as well. There are very slight little notches on the left and right side so that you can only put it in the correct way, and it's really easy to do so, as long as you have some kind of nails. But now why would you actually want to switch these out? What do you get by switching to the other ones? Well, the ones that come with the device are pretty spongy and quiet, and these ones have micro switches, so they're much more clicky and tactile. Is this really a big deal? I mean, not for me personally. I don't really see the point of switching these out. I don't really like it when my devices have loud, clicky sounds, so maybe if it came with those by default, I'd want to switch them out. But by default, it comes with the really quiet controls, and you have the option of swapping in some clickier ones. Let me know in the comments if you'd actually do this, because I just don't see the point. I can't imagine when I'm playing a game and thinking, oh yeah, I really like the soft D-pad in this game, but oh no, if I play the other game, I'm going to need to quickly hot swap out my D-pad. Quickly throw the new one in. Ah, there we go. Lovely and clicky for this game. I just don't see when I would ever do that. Now, if you could actually swap a right stick in here and make it stick top, or maybe switch the left one and make it D-pad top and stick bottom, as some people like, that would actually be useful if we had all 4 of these swappable, like I believe the Aya Neo 3 does. That I could see a use for, because when I was playing FPS games on this thing, I was thinking if the right stick was up here, this would be by far the most comfortable FPS machine I've ever used as well. But it's a bit of a reach down there, unfortunately. You also cannot swap these and have face buttons down here and a D-pad up here. Again, I don't know why you'd want to, but I had to try that out because that would be pretty funny. But as you can see, unfortunately, the sizes are different. So while the D-pad actually does go in there, it's not properly seated. And the face button just won't fit in the D-pad hole at all, it's too big. So if you're somebody who wants to switch out your squishy buttons for clicky buttons at will, then this is a great device for you, but I'm just not sure that person exists. So let's take a look at what else you get if you were to buy one of these things. You get the device itself and the switchable buttons. You also get a pretty nice looking case. So if you wanted to store this in a case and take it with you, of course it's a perfect fit as it's custom made for it. That's pretty nice. You also get a tempered glass screen protector and a toolkit, which is a series of stickers and tissues. As you can see, the screen protector is the type that covers the whole glass front panel. So it's not only the screen, it will actually slot over the analog sticks and protect the whole front like this. I personally don't use these things because I can never put them on properly. And if you were paying attention to this tempered glass screen protector box, the same kind of box that the actual device itself comes with, you might notice what brand this looks like. This looks awfully familiar to Aya Neo products like the Conker Pocket Fit, and I've heard that apparently Mangmi is made by ex-Aya Neo employees, but I'm not sure if I actually believe that. Looking at these two here, I mean, I'm positive that's the same brand. Anyway, Mangmi Pocket Max, Odin 2 Portal, which one is the winner? Well, this one's more powerful and more expensive. To counteract the sale of the Mangmi Pocket Max, AYN have put a big sale on the Odin 2 Portal, bringing its price all the way down to $249 for the base version, which is a fantastic deal. The Odin 2 Portal has a Snapdragon 8 Gen 2 processor in it, which is much more powerful than the 865 processor in the Mangmi Pocket Max. Both of these devices, however, are positioned more as streaming devices, more than they are as emulation devices or running games directly on them. Of course, both of them will run games fantastically, but they're really positioned as being streaming devices. Playing games on your computer and then streaming it over the internet to the device, or using services like GeForce Now and Xbox Game Pass, which is what I usually do with these devices. I don't have a gaming PC, I just have a Mac, so I use GeForce Now on these. Most people have had a fantastic experience using the Odin 2 Portal to stream their games. I don't know why, but for me, I've had a bad experience with it. It always seems to lag and buffer, and I just never get a good experience with GeForce Now on the Odin 2 Portal. The built-in speed checker in GeForce Now gave me a packet loss rating of 1.2% on the Odin 2 Portal, which is bad. It said that I would only be able to stream at 1280 by 720, or I would be losing frames and buffering and it wouldn't be good. So I don't know what's wrong with my Odin 2 Portal or my internet setup, but it just doesn't really stream very well for me. I know that I'm an outlier here and most people stream very well with the Odin 2 Portal, but for some reason or another, my Odin 2 Portal just doesn't stream that well and is showing 1.2% packet loss. The Mangmi Pocket X, on the other hand, is showing 0% packet loss. It's showing that it's running well and I can easily stream at 1080p. I'm really relieved about this because the previous Mangmi product I reviewed, the Mangmi Air X, was terrible for streaming. It gave a result of 6.6% packet loss. It's in the red. This is a very bad result. In my review of the Mangmi Air X here, I said it's almost a perfect device for under $100. The only real problem for me was how laggy the internet connection was. It was just really bad for streaming in all of my tests, and I got in touch with Mangmi themselves. They said they would look into it, but I never heard anything back. So when they released the Mangmi Pocket Max, which is meant to be all about streaming, I was quite worried. But thankfully, it seems to have fantastic streaming performance. So here we are in a game of Battlefield 6. If you look at the stats at the top right, we have 3 millisecond ping, 120 frames per second. It just looks glorious. And I'm probably going to sound like a broken record in this video, but these sticks and triggers are by far the best I've ever used. Especially the sticks, they're just a thing of beauty. That had to hurt. So while I sit there in this tank being completely unfair, just mowing people down with ease, let me show you how this compares to the Odin 2 Portal and why I prefer it. So if we look at it side on to see the comfort we'd get from the grip here, there's just no comparison. It's quite hard to show on camera, but it's just so much thicker than the Odin 2 Portal. Now the Odin 2 Portal does have a fantastic grip you can buy. And I think most people would agree this grip is basically a necessity. And by adding the grip, it becomes much thicker and quite similar now, perhaps even thicker now than the Mangmi. And now they're at a pretty similar comfort level. Once again though, the triggers are quite a lot better on the Mangmi. They're at a better angle in my opinion, and a little bit bigger as well. And the sticks, there's just no comparison again. The sticks are so much better on the Mangmi. I do prefer the position of the right stick a little bit more on the Portal. It's a bit closer to the buttons, which I find more comfortable. The Mangmi is a little bit more of a stretch down, which I don't really like. I've also been alive for a really long time here, right in the middle of the action. We'll just keep hiding there. Overall, the comfort with the grip on the Portal is quite similar to the Mangmi, but the Mangmi just feels a lot nicer in the hands, at least in my opinion. This is of course subjective. One thing though I think everybody would agree on if they try this is these sticks are amazing, and I hope this becomes the new standard. Whether you're going to buy the Mangmi Pocket Max or not, whether you have any interest in it at all, we need these sticks on all handhelds here on out, at least the larger ones. They make a big difference. Let's just quickly deal with that guy, and then I'll get back to explaining. These sticks are fantastic. I want to see these in Retroid devices, in everything. Smaller devices, bigger devices, they need to become the norm. The chipset in here is the Retroid Pocket 5 chipset, the Snapdragon 865, so I have about 80 videos on the Retroid Pocket 5, I have videos on the Retroid Pocket Flip 2, a video on the Retroid Pocket Mini. All of those are applicable to this device. On my website, ryanretro.com, there are thousands of user reports on this chipset as well. Feel free to use all of those, plug and play them directly into this. It's basically just that, but on a big, beautiful OLED screen. Very similar to the OLED in the Portal, but perhaps even better, because this is 144Hz to the Odin's 120Hz. Anyone who knows the Odin 2 Portal will know it has basically the best screen of any device. It's so big, it's so bright, it's so beautiful. And let's actually compare them, because they are super similar. I actually thought they were the exact same panel for a while, until I remembered that they have a different refresh rate, so they're probably not. Let's just see, for example, how bright they get, because the Portal gets unbelievably bright to the point that this purple background is now looking white on my camera. So I'm actually going to reduce the brightness of the whole image here, so I might disappear. You maybe cannot see me anymore, but just see the screen, how bright that is. And now we'll get the same picture up on the Mangmi and put it on maximum brightness. And I believe the Magmi actually gets what looks like a little bit brighter than the Odin 2 Portal. It's very similar, and the Odin 2 Portal is just the most monstrously bright handheld I've ever used. And I think the Magmi gets even brighter just by a smidge, while having a higher refresh rate screen as well. So incredible what they've done here, Magmi. For the price of $199, it's ridiculous. Let me reappear on the screen again. And let's bring these way down. You may also notice these flickering effects going on as well. That's PWM Flicker, which I believe affects all OLED screens. It's something you don't actually see in person. It shows up on camera, but you won't see it with your eyes. Some people are sensitive to this, and those people might be better off getting an LCD screen rather than an OLED, but for the majority of people, it's something you're never going to even see. On the Odin 2 Portal, you can choose whether you want the display to be at 120Hz or 60Hz if you want to save some battery life and you don't need the extra refresh rate. The Magmi takes this even further and gives you the option of 144Hz, 120, 90, or 60. We also have very familiar performance profiles for anyone who's used an Aya Neo device before. You have turbo mode for the best performance, streaming mode, performance, balance, and power saving. I basically just keep it in turbo mode with the fan on smart most of the time, or the fan on quiet perhaps. I mean, I say I normally or usually do this. I've had it for a day. I will spend more time working on this and put out more information in the future. I just want to get this information out as quick as possible because there's not long left on that really good introductory sale. In here, you'll also have the performance overlay, which is super basic. It just tells you the frame rate, CPU, GPU, and RAM stats, as well as the fan speed. We have our controls if you want to map on-screen touch controls or change between Xbox and Switch button layouts. We have Turbo Fire if you want one of the buttons to repeatedly press itself when you hold the button. I use this in Animal Crossing when I'm walking around picking up things on the floor. So I just need to hold down the X button and it's pressing it repeatedly every second. I don't have to keep repeatedly pressing it to pick up every tree branch and everything I want to pick up. So if you think that might be useful in a game you're playing to repeatedly smash a button like a macro, you can do that. We have a joystick curve, which I honestly have no idea what that even means. Joystick inversion if you want to invert the axes. I sometimes do this in GameCube games because they're all flipped the wrong way for some reason. You're able to change your trigger mode from button or linear. Ambient light, that's what they call the lights around the LEDs. I've set these the way I always do, to my sneaky secret console style. And you can choose whether you want them to be constantly bright, rainbow effect, which I think looks really nice. I might again have to lower the brightness of my camera to show you this, but I think that looks super nice. Breathing, or just breath as it's known here. And then probably my favorite name for any LED mode ever, pursuing, which I'm pretty sure they mean pulsing, but it just doesn't seem to do anything. But now I'm quite worried a Mangmi agent might be pursuing me as we speak. So let's quickly turn that off. You then have your simple settings for brightness, sound, screenshots, recordings, your handheld settings, and clearing out the memory to, download more RAM. So let's now see how the sound is. Let's jump into my usual sound test, Sonic the Hedgehog 2. So they're very loud, not the nicest sounding speakers ever, not bad either, but could definitely do with some tweaking on the EQ, and then I think they'd sound pretty nice. I was quite curious by them because they look quite weird and they're quite small, but they sound fine. They're loud, they sound okay, there's nothing wrong with them. They're not the best speakers I've ever heard, not the worst. For the price and for everything else you get for that price, they're fine. When it comes to the power of this device, once again, it's the Snapdragon 865. We know it well. It will run all of your retro games up to PlayStation 1 and things like that totally fine. Here's Pro Evolution Soccer 6 on the PlayStation 2. We're going to have no problems getting 60 frames per second here. Everything is going to be beautiful and run really well. There are some really demanding PlayStation 2 games like Shadow of the Colossus that can pose a problem to the Snapdragon 865, but for the most part, most of the library is going to play really well. You might see some quite bad PWM Flicker right now, so what I might do is lock the refresh rate down to 60, and that should help that quite a bit and slow down that flicker. This is a system that I'm only going to be playing up to 60 frames per second anyway, so there's no need for me to show you 144, especially considering I'm shooting this video at 30. Go on, Henri. Put it in there, son.
Woo! Let's go! Hello.
Dreamcast will also run really well. Here's Virtua Tennis 2 on the Dreamcast. These games, by the way, are all being upscaled to what is as close to 1080p as possible, although we of course are playing them in a 4:3 resolution. GameCube will also run great as well. Here's The Simpsons Hit and Run, one of my favorite games of all time. Looks beautiful, upscaled on this big, bright, lovely OLED screen and runs really smoothly. And here is Ace Golf, my all-time favorite GameCube game. This is a game that's all about using the right stick. So having that big, lovely stick here just makes it an absolute joy to use. On most of these handhelds, I'm pretty bad at this game because it's all about the accuracy of moving the stick, and most of them have weedy little sticks. But as I've been playing on this one, I'm just hitting great shots every time. There's so much more accuracy on a stick this big, it's just so lovely. That's probably the worst shot I've hit so far, and it's much better than I usually do on smaller devices. Get in the hole! Yeah! Once again, like on PlayStation 2, it's only the most demanding GameCube games like the Wind Waker that might possibly cause you any issues. But for the most part, most of them are going to be great on the Snapdragon 865. Once again, check my website for literally thousands of reports. I can't show a little emulation showcase without one of my favorite games, Yu-Gi-Oh! GX Tag Force on the PSP. Here we have a 4x upscale to 1080p, as well as some anti-aliasing or whatever on earth you call that thing that makes text look better. I just love this game because the cutscenes in the game make it feel like you're watching the anime. Being an Android device, we also of course have access to Android games like Balatro. Stardew Valley always looks and runs beautifully on these devices too, especially when you use pinch gestures to zoom out and look at all of your farm in this 1080p 7-inch OLED glory. This is just absolutely gorgeous. Look at that detail. It is a thing of beauty. I could just look at this all day long. And for the Fortnite players out there, I know there's only one thing you want to know. What frames per second can we get? And unfortunately, it's locked at 60. No 120 here. And yes, don't worry, I remembered to turn the refresh rate back up to the maximum before launching the game. And I also tested this yesterday as well. It's not because I lowered the refresh rate earlier. We just don't have more than 60 right now. So go push Mangmi to update that for you guys. When it comes to battery life, I've only had it for a day, so I'm not able to give a full breakdown of that yet, but it seems ridiculous. I mean, when you think about it, we have a big device here with a big 8,000 milliamp hour battery and a pretty low powered chip, so the battery life should be pretty good. Yesterday I was using it and it was at 79% battery. I used it for quite a long time setting up various emulators, downloading things. I checked the battery life again, and it was still 79%, so I'm not sure if it's broken or the battery life is just amazing. I mean, even looking at it now, it says 78%, so I think it might just love that kind of percentage. I do need to do some actual real tests with this, but the battery life seems really good, which once again, with a big battery and a low power chip, I guess we could expect that. Let's see how quickly it charges back up. Most devices of this size and type charge at around 26 or 27 watts. Here I have my handy dandy little power meter. Let's plug it in and see what kind of reading we get. I'll just darken the screen again. We are charging at the 27 watt protocol, just like the other devices, but the power it's actually drawing here in blue is jumping around quite a lot. It went from 10 to 17 to 21, back to 17. But this kind of thing does happen when you're around 80% battery. And right now we're at 78. So if we wanted to see the full power of this, we would need to be at a lower battery percentage. But the fact that it says it's charging at a 27 watt protocol has me to believe it will be basically the same speed as everything else. 26, 27 watts or thereabouts. Once again, I need to do a lot more testing of this thing, but I literally just got it yesterday, and if I spent like a week working on a review for this, the big discount would already be gone. So let's talk about the discount and the pricing now. This Mangmi Pocket Max will be around $240, which for that price, I think it's okay. It's not an amazing deal. It's not super expensive either because it is a pretty nice package, but considering it's a Snapdragon 865, which is not very powerful in 2026, is a bit of a hard sell. And I wouldn't really be recommending to just go out and buy it, especially when you can get something like the Retroid Pocket 6 for even cheaper than that, which I think is overall a better handheld. The Mangmi Pocket Max is basically a big stretched out Retroid Pocket 5, the device that I adore and made my whole channel around. Let's not forget that for the most of its lifespan, this was $229. This is available right now for $199, and it takes the internals of this, gives you better sticks, better triggers, a larger screen that goes from 60Hz to 144Hz. It's just better than this in many ways. It's a lot more comfortable. It has a lot of improvements over the Retroid Pocket 5 for $20 less. So at this introductory price, I think it's really tempting. The Retroid Pocket 5 now, even after its price drop, now that the Retroid Pocket 6 released, Retroid had to drop the price of the Retroid Pocket 5, this is still $199, the same price as this. So you have a choice. Do you want to get something more compact or something bigger with a better screen, bigger battery, better sticks, better everything basically? I think the value of this at $199 is fantastic, but I do need to warn you about one thing, which is I've seen some people reporting huge shipping fees, up to like $60 for shipping. So just be careful if you do go to buy this, that they're not trying to get you with the shipping fees. Just watch out for that. But if the shipping fees are manageable, $199 is a steal for this. So much so that AYN did cut the price of the Odin 2 Portal to $249 to try to compete with this. And now these two, I think, are actually pretty well priced. $199 for the Pocket Max, and then upgrading $50 to the Odin 2 Portal for a more powerful chip. Just be aware that with the Odin 2 Portal, if you want the same level of comfort as the Mangmi Pocket Max, you're going to need to buy this grip. This grip is basically a mandatory accessory. I believe it's around $15. So while the Odin 2 Portal is on sale for $249, it's basically $264 because you really need this. So we have $264 for the Odin 2 Portal in the grip, or $199 for the Pocket Max. I think the Pocket Max is the better deal if you're only streaming. If you want to play loads of games on the device as well and you need the power, there's a lot more power here, and I think it's worth upgrading to. Yet again, the same power that's in the Odin 2 Portal is in the Retroid Pocket 6 for $229, so that would be worth checking out as well. Now I'm going to have affiliate links to all of these things in the description, so if you'd like to buy any of them, please consider using my link, which helps me out at no extra cost to you. There will all be links to the official websites, no dodgy third-party sellers, they're all the official websites, and I'm sure you can find something that's good for you. Personally, I just love the Retroid Pocket 6. To me, this is the perfect size. But if you are after something bigger, you're going to be looking at these two. And I think they're both pretty well priced, at least this week on their special sale offers. And I don't really think you could go wrong with either. Just make sure you get the grip if you go Odin 2 Portal. And if you go Mangmi Pocket Max, just be aware that it's not going to be able to handle the really high-end Switch games and Windows games that other devices can. If you want to go super high-end, you're going to need to go for something like the Odin 3, which is a nice combination of a 6-inch 120Hz screen, tons of power, and sticks that are almost full size. There's just so much choice to be had these days. If you have a specific use case, message me in the comments below. I'll be sure to give you my recommendation. There are just so many handhelds to choose from these days that it must be so confusing for beginners, to the point that I think I need to make a very comprehensive guide about what to buy. But if you have any questions, let me know in the comments below, and you can't really go wrong with any of the devices. That's the beauty of this these days. These are just all great. So whatever you choose, I hope you have a great time gaming. Just make sure if you want to buy this one, you get in fast, because there's only 2 days left of that introductory sale, where you're going to get this for $40 off and some free useless switches. Thank you so much for watching this video. Please like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I'm sure it won't be long before we're saying hello again.